All right, here we go. Evaluated two variable expression. Yesterday, we did expressions that had one variable in them. Like we had like y over 82 or y over 4 or something. This time you're going to have two variables in the expression. First, tell me what an expression is, if you remember from yesterday.
A plus or minus or divide or multiply.
No equal sign.
There's no equal sign. It's letters. It's a bunch of letters and numbers, but no equal sign. It's just a collection of algebra junk, but there's no equal sign. So it's not like we're trying to solve it or anything. But one thing we can do is once you have that collection of junk with letters, they might tell you, hey, evaluate it instead of those x's, put in 2's. Or evaluate instead of those y's, put in 5's. So I'm just going to read this little paragraph real quick. So when you see a variable in an expression, understand it represents the exact same number every time it's used. So if you have an expression that has x in it 3 times, that's supposed to be the same number 3 times. So if x is supposed to be 2, every time you see an x, it's going to be a 2 over and over and over. So for example, if you're asked to evaluate an expression when x is 2, then you need to sub a 2 in for x each time. Let's try it. All right, right here is an expression, right here. How do I know that's an expression?
It doesn't have an equal sign.
Doesn't have an equal sign. Doesn't it look like a collection of algebra junk?
Yeah.
It's a collection of algebra junk on a board. It's got to be an expression because it doesn't have an equal sign. If it had an equal sign, I would call it what?
Equation.
Equation. Equals equation. No equals expression. So it's just a collection of junk on the board. How many terms do you see on there?
2.
Hold on a second. Let me remember the terms are separated by pluses and minuses.
4.
Yeah. So there's actually 4. 1 term, 2 term, 3 term, 4 terms. There's 4 terms up there. Evaluate it when x is 2. So now, do you see some x's in the expression?
Yes.
How many?
2.
2. When you're asked to evaluate it when x is 2, you're going to replace those x's with what?
The number 2.
Number 2. Now, let's keep in mind, if I put a 2 here, I don't change this to 32. This is 3 times x. So now it's going to be 3 times what?
2.
2. For some reason, I've had some freshmen come in and go, wait, okay, so now it's 2 plus 32 plus 1 plus 2. They're not digits. It's that 3x is 3 times 2. How many x's are there?
2.
2. Replace each with a
2.
2. So now it's 2 plus
2.
3 times 2 minus 1 plus
2.
2 over 2. So go ahead and put that in. Notice how I put the parentheses where those x's used to be. That way it's kind of the assumed multiply when you put it in like that. So put it in your calculator as 2 plus 3 times 2 minus 1 plus 2 over 2. So wherever the x's used to be, I've surrounded in parentheses a 2. It's not necessary up here, but I just kind of do it, at least early on in algebra, as a good habit. And it's 8. So we get 8. Now let's stay on this page 1 second. Let's say that we want to use the store button instead, because we have an x on our store button. So what am I going to store for x? 2. So if I want to evaluate this when x is 2, I'll come to my calculator and do 2. I'll hit the store button, hit the x button. 2 stores x. Like that. And then I'm going to put this expression in. Put this expression in just like it looks with the x's and everything. So it's 2 plus 3x minus 1 plus. So now that expression, after I've stored, looks the exact same right here. Also take note of how a lot of freshmen who do this as well. The X button on your calculator is not to be used ever unless you stored something first. So don't just go looking at a problem on your practices or your test or on the EOI and start going, oh, I have an X button I can use. You can't use it. It is off limits unless you've stored some value for X first. If you don't know what value to store for X, you're probably doing the wrong thing. This one works because they tell you right here, hey, if you want, put 2 in for X and then evaluate it. That's not always going to be the case. So don't just go freely using that X button. All right, go to the back side. Let's see what we got. some expressions may have more than just one variable. So by that I mean they might have some x's and some y's in there. Or they could have a's and b's or p's and q's. There could even be 3 variables like x, y, and z. If you remember, the title of this objective is evaluate a 2-variable expression. So I would expect when you do objective 27, you're going to see 2 variables. When there are different variables in the expression, each one will have its own specific value. Like technically they could be the same, like x could be 2 and y could be 2. More often than not, one will be something and then the other will be a different number. Evaluate this expression. 11a plus b. How many terms are in that? 2 terms. 2 terms. This is 1 term, this is 2 terms. Evaluate it when a is 9 and when b is 12. So when a is 9 and b is 12. Sub a 9 in for a, sub a 12 in for b. So instead of 11a, it's 11 times what?
9.
11 times 9. Instead of plus b, it's plus
12.
12. 11 times 9 plus 12. Anybody want to guess what it is?
111.
111. Okay, these next 2, I want you to try. I want to give you a minute to try. You can use the store button if you want to, or you can just sub the numbers in the right spots. Take 1 minute, see if you can get both of them done really quick, and then we will check your answers. So do these last 2. X over 4 minus 4y, and p over 7 plus 4q. 1 minute. 1 minute. And I'll go ahead and I'll have them done and get back to that. We got it. My shoes make a really weird sound. So walking.
Are they wet?
Maybe from yesterday.
Ooh, like water out there.
We got it.
at practice.
It was not raining, and then all of a sudden it was pouring.
It felt good though.
I've been walking that rain.
We walked from the top of the hill. Literally, practice was done. And we're like, all right, we're done. We made it. And then it was like,
That's what we did too.
yeah, it was downpouring. What were you guys? What would you have?
Softball.
That was softball.
It-
Okay,
it- like, it was-
practice.
Like you heard thunder and then we were all batting and stuff and he said, we did like 7 innings and we said, okay, we're done, and all of a sudden went,
Right, just like right as you're done, and then you're soaking wet. Okay, first one, x over 4 minus 4y. Instead of x, what am I going to have right here?
124.
And 4y is not, don't turn it to 42, it's 4
Times 2.
times 2. So I'm going to put that, it looks like this on my calculator. If you did it right. Also, make sure this, hey, real quick. That needs to be a subtract sign. When I hit enter, I should get 23. If you do this, and that is a negative sign, instead of subtract sign, it'll look like this. Your calculator is not going to subtract there, it's going to multiply this times negative. And you're going to get something crazy. That's not right. It's subtract 4 times 2 right there. So be careful. The answer on that one is 23. The other one with the p's and q's, p over 7 plus 4q, is 252 over 7 plus 4 times 2 equals 44. And that is it.